Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this week's new episode of X Vlog Live. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL, and folks, we have an incredible show. Now, if you've been following me on social media, if you've been following me on the shows that I do, when I do 5 live shows per week, yesterday I was hit with a bit of a conundrum.
Yeah.
This week was so busy, and I had a few things happen that I really can't discuss, but it just really did throw me personally for a loop. And I didn't forget about the Thursday show, but what I did forget was to actually get a guest. And I was scrambling last night. So I not only got a guest, I got 2 of them. And these guys are awesome. We have a lot of big opinions to get into today. One of which, folks, which is I think is right now the hottest topic in gaming. And that is media game reviewers versus gamers.
Oh, yeah.
We have seen this year specifically where some games have gotten very low scores by reviewers who are professionally paid to do these things. They're supposed to, use media, the media honor system, and guess give their opinion, because remember that game reviews are opinions, and it's not that people are wrong, but sometimes reviews are done. They're done by the media, specifically when you look at what Sony does. How they blackball certain people or certain sites if they don't give favorable reviews. We've heard that more times than not.
Mm-hmm.
A perfect example of high marks for actual bad game is Gran Turismo. Gran Turismo launched incredibly broken. The fact that they spent so much time, with these microtransactions, it was never discussed, never talked about, and this game was given high marks when it probably should have been giving low marks. Now you ask why? Why did that happen? I honestly can't say. I'm not going to sit here and people were paid off or whatever, but it just makes you wonder why some things slip through the crack. Another one that seems to be a hot mark right now is Sonic Frontiers. I am currently playing it. I have 6.5 hours into the game. It's currently sitting at an 8 for me right now, 8 out of 10. It might go up, it might go down. I have had no problems with it. I'm quite enjoying it. It got beat up pretty badly with a lot of 6s and low 7s. But when you look at the reviewer score versus the actual user score, it's sitting at high 9s, folks. People are really enjoying it. I got to be honest with you. I've come across a lot of people that have picked it up on my word and saying, you know what, Boom, you are right. This game is freaking fire. And that goes for Gotham Knights. Steel Rain, you have a lot to say about that. I literally was almost late to the freaking show because I was trying to hunt for these pages for those damn Court of Owls. So I literally am still playing that game. I got to get back into Halo.
Great game.
I got to get into God of War. I mean, my problem with games, folks, is not the money. It's time. Time is just there's not enough time
and energy.
in the day. And energy, because I used to be able to stay up to 2-3 o'clock in the morning, get up at 6 or 8 o'clock. I'm an old man. I can't do that no more. That's not happening. But listen, let's get into the introductions, and then we're going to get into the hot button topics. First of all, Steel Rain, my brother, how are you feeling? Welcome.
What's going on, Boom? I'm in the X Vlog Live Kingdom this time. What's going on? Usually I know this is a 2-man show. Boom said he gave me the keys to the back door, so I just knocked and he opened, so I just barged on in, made a sandwich, toasted up some waffles, and now I'm just eating breakfast, enjoying myself with a nice cup of coffee also. And we got N64 Josh, which I'll be honest, he was the first to answer the call, and I had to be like Red Hood in this situation, just come down off the rooftops and just slap some fools upside the head. But hey, it's been a good time, and Boom, I'm right on board with you. It's a lot of craziness that's going on. It really drives me up the wall. I've been kind of teetering this line where I've just wanted to make more live content because the absurdity of people's opinions that don't genuinely like certain things. Like, for an example, Sonic has always, and again, I'll get off my soapbox real quick, but Sonic has always been very divisive, looked at sideways, and a lot of people say that Sonic hasn't had a good game since the 2D generation of Sonic. Now, me and you, Boom, of course, we disagree. Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic Heroes, I feel like were excellent games. This Sonic, is a whole different ilk. And like I said before, I was rooting for Sonic to get a 9 on Metacritic. Unfortunately, it got a 7 through the critics, but the users knew what's up. So shout out to everybody in chat. Much love. We're gonna have some fire conversations today. Let's get to it, man. Much love.
Yeah, appreciate that. And N64 Josh, TikTok Josh. I don't know what else to keep calling you.
Yeah.
Josh. I mean, we're gonna keep adding these tag names to you because
I love it.
You do wear a lot of hats. But listen, brother, thank you so much for joining us today. Definitely appreciate you being one of the first to answer the call. How are you feeling, brother? And what are your thoughts on the topics? I think we're gonna have a pretty interesting conversation.
This is gonna go back for me. This is gonna go all the way back to Mario Kart Double Dash days, and so it's gonna be a really fun conversation. I'm so glad to be here. Feel very fortunate that I was able to fill in, and glad Steele was able to join as well. So we're gonna have a good time.
Yeah, you know what? I want to open up with a fun one, folks. Obviously, we do these shows for having fun. Now, I want to bring in a specific, well, not a YouTuber, but he is definitely an insider. He's high on the blue check mark, the real blue check mark, if you will, because I can't seem to get one. I'm probably going to have to actually spend the $8 a month because, well, I have 144,000 tweets. I've never been suspended. All I tweet is goodness, and I still can't get the blue check mark. It's just the craziest thing. And listen, it is going to be. I just hope that Musk doesn't just destroy Twitter. It's my one advertising spot that I talk about gaming and I interact with so many people that it would be really a disservice if this platform takes a dump. I hope it doesn't. But I want to bring in Clobriel to the conversation. Now, Clobriel is someone that I trust. He is not unfortunately not following me, and I say yet because Clobriel, God damn it, you're going to follow me one day or another. And I like what he does. He is an Xbox insider. You ever hear him say it? He comes out and says, "No, I'm not an insider. I just love Xbox." And he always has good opinions. He always puts good information out there. He did something the other day that I thought would be a fun conversation because, again, that's what these podcasts are supposed to be. That's why I want to interact with the chat. I want to interact with the panel. And he put out there the announced transmedia film and series projects that are happening for Xbox IPs. And Fallout is getting a TV series that's coming on Prime Video, and I have a feeling that is going to be really good. I don't know if anyone saw The Rings of Power. Me and Mrs. Boom loved it so much we started watching it again. I absolutely loved every episode from start to finish. It was just announced that Gears of War is getting not only a film adaptation from Netflix, but it's also getting an animated series, which is going to be dope. Grounded, the team that was only 14 people when it started, and I think it's 21 now. This is getting an animated series that's going to blow up. And that's, again, hats off to Obsidian once again. I mean, they're just a team that just never misses. Grounded is getting an animated series. Halo had its first series. Now, granted, it was divisive. There were a lot of people that didn't like Master Cheeks and him having sex and all that other stuff. I get all of that, but at the end of the day, they did take a lot of the feedback. The director has been changed. The original director is not coming back to reprise his role. The gritty, more war intense Halo is what is expected to be told in season 2. I'm very much looking forward to that. And we also have coming the way of WB, a Minecraft animated series, and that, folks, is going to explode on the scene. So you're asking, well, what are you telling us all this? You may know this. Well, here's my fun question. What do you, the fans, want to see come to the transmedia aspect of gaming, right? We know obviously Sony is doing a lot of work behind the scenes. I mean, HBO has The Last of Us releasing. They have a series coming for Horizon. They have a Gran Turismo series. I think it's a film. Very shocking, but you know what? It's still a video game film. I'll check it out. There's no doubt about it. So everyone's, I mean, the Mario film, even though it's again that's packed with controversy because no one really digs the voice of Mario, and I happen to really like the actor very much. I think that he's great.
Yeah, I think it's.
But my problem, even my wife was like, I don't understand why they got him. The original Mario, the guy that still does the freaking voices in the film, he's a different character. It makes no sense. So we'll see. Maybe we'll get a Sonic situation. Maybe remember the ugly Sonic? You're like, ooh, that's not good. And they delayed the movie by a year, and then it came out, and Sonic is now boss. He's doing his business.
Well worth
it was absolutely well worth the wait. And for money wise, look how well the second film did. The beginning of this year. That's why, folks, I'm gonna keep putting this out there to the gaming gods, just so I don't have to give up the knees because I like walking. I'm hoping that my prediction, and I know Asante might be listening right now, and he's probably laughing. That, and again, this is no slight or no slight on God of War. God of War is probably a 10. I haven't played it. It's downloaded. Again, folks, time. It's not a console war thing. It's probably a 10. Even with that said, I have a strong suspicion, folks, and I may be wrong, and I'll have to give my knees up live on the air, but I don't think I will be. God of War is going to be outdueled 2-1 to Sonic Frontiers.
I agree.
And that's just based on what's happening,
and it should.
See, you have the film that launched this year, right? They're going to start selling it and putting it on again for when the holidays come. Nice stocking stuffers. The Netflix series, I don't know if you saw the trailer, looks bonkers freaking good. Oh my god, it looks so good. And that's coming out in a couple of weeks, right after the launch of Sonic Frontiers. Plus the numbers thing. You can't argue numbers. You want to argue, you want to have a conversation with me about who's a better game or a character. We can have those conversations, and obviously varied opinions will be tossed around, but you can't argue numbers. And numbers, folks, is that Sonic Frontier has released on Steam.
Everything.
It's released on the Xbox One, Xbox Series X, S, PS4, PS5, and Switch. Versus God of War, which is, again, it is a 10. Sony Santa Monica, those guys and gals over there, they're legit. 2 platforms versus 7.
Yeah.
So just on principle,
it should.
I'm going to win. But let me reel this back in. Folks. I'm going to go first to Steel on this. I think that one of the most magical things that is currently happening right now for gaming, and I'm almost a bit jealous that new gamers are getting all of this smorgasbord of gaming on t-shirts and on comics and on graphic novels and books and film and TV series and games. They're getting all of this. We never had this growing up. Every now and again, you'd get a game character that would find its way to a TV show, and you were like, "Oh my god, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread," because it's your favorite game.
Right.
You remember the Mario cartoons. You ever see them now? Oh, I used to love them as a kid, and now I'm like, oh, that's not really that good. But you know what? It is what it was.
Super Mario 3 still holds up a little bit.
Yeah, it does. It holds up a tad, but you know what? I mean, listen, what are you gonna do?
Mega Man in Captain N? Nope.
Yeah, and Mega Man and Captain N. Oh,
that's what my
Mega Man was great. Mega Man was amazing, bro.
He had a power glove.
Yeah.
Which no one even knows what we're talking about in 64 John, but we know what that is.
Yeah,
I actually owned one. I used to hold it like this. I used to pretend I was somebody special with that thing on.
I love it.
So listen, Steel, let's get your opinion on this. What of the remaining IPs that Microsoft hasn't talked about yet do you personally want to see come to the big screen, whether that be a series or actually on film?
Oh, wow, man. The ones that have kind of been talked about have been my ones that I've wanted for over the last decade, right? Halo kind of teasing in and out with their kind of live action shows and also animated series that they had. And then now Gears has been in conversation for a long time, and they've been dancing with that idea to the point to where I've almost gave up hope on it, but now it does seem like it could be more of a reality than ever before, and I definitely hope it is, since they are saying it is in development now. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully those things get treated with the utmost respect, because both Halo and Gears have universes that have such an expansive background to them and can also be drawn in many different directions, depending on who's the leader of that universe, and really create something even more magical, right? And I think that's the overall point. You want something that's going to leak over into toys. You want to do movies. You want to do TV shows. You want to do any little thing, posters, clothes, whatever you can do to get as much attention to it. That'll be it. The main thing, right? Halo has that appeal. It's a guy in a suit. Everybody loves that power fantasy. At least I know I do. I like people in armored suits for whatever reason. But the main one that sticks out to me, and the chat hit the nail right on the head, is going to definitely be Fable. Mainly because always being able to see main thing that bothers me about Star Wars is that they don't tread the gray side enough, right? Or they make it seem like it doesn't exist, or you have to be one way or the other. And the messed up thing about that is you're taking out a whole other element, for example, like Starkiller, who was on the gray side, which is why it became so strong, which is why they also retconned him. But when you bring in something like that, where Fable literally gives you more of a human side of it, because it gives you more of that element where you kind of force yourself to play that gray side, right? Especially with the way that society is nowadays. You do have to be careful, but you can also kind of jump out on that ledge, maybe get on the springboard and jump off of it and do a cannonball and really impress people in certain moments, depending on how it's presented to us. Again, it's another one of those things also, because Fable has been away, and I've mentioned this multiple times, not everybody's going to be familiar with it. So now when Fable comes back, people are gonna be like, oh man, those who know who Fable is are gonna be like, man, this is what I've been waiting for. Those who don't will be like, man, what the hell is Fable? They're gonna watch a couple of videos and like, oh, this game is old as hell. And then you see the differences, and maybe or maybe not, that might be somebody's jam. A TV show or animated series or something to introduce it, like for an example, Cyberpunk Edge Runners, or we were talking about Sonic earlier. Like what Sonic Frontiers did with the whole Knuckles animated little thing, 6-minute thing that they did to kind of give you like a prologue before the game came out. That went on YouTube. You can do something similar to that, just to give people a reason to get enticed or to be interested, or to give people a piece of that world, because that's a lot of the reason why some people don't get involved, right? Because they're like, I don't know if that's my thing. So I think that's one way to do it. Fable would definitely be the number one choice for me. So
that's a good one. I actually have a few, but I want to let Josh go first on this. Josh, I mean, look, transmedia is something. It's a flashy term that people have been throwing around. I don't normally use it, but it's a part of the conversation today. Something was brought to light the other day that I found extremely interesting. This was during the Xbox One days, where the whole TV thing happened, and really, sent Microsoft down a bad path. They've recovered since, but it did take them some time to regain their sea legs, so to speak. It was confirmed that Conquer actually had an animated series that was in active development, and it was supposed to take place right after the game. And I said, wow, that is such a missed opportunity, because I think Conquer these days would work really well. Like his potty humor is something that's big with the kids, and I think that he would resonate. I mean, look, I'm a platformer stan, which we'll talk about in a minute. But for you personally, of all of the IPs, and quite frankly, there are a lot of IPs, especially when you consider ABK. I think the easiest one that most people have talked about that want to see come to fruition is an actual Call of Duty show. I think that a live action Call of Duty show, set to the tone of, like Saving Private Ryan or something like that, would be legit big. You give HBO something like that and you let them go crazy. I think it would be incredible. What are your couple of picks that you'd love to see join the film and TV ranks from Xbox?
From Xbox? Okay, that's the question I was wondering about. I'm like,
Yeah.
is it specifically Xbox? Because, well, I'm just gonna
Well, no,
throw
I mean,
it out.
listen, go crazy, throw it out there. I mean, if you want to talk about Xbox, talk about Xbox. You want to add someone else, add someone else. It really is an open-ended conversation.
With Xbox, and I believe it was Umbra that said it, and it was on the top of my mind, was Perfect Dark.
Yeah, true.
You
That's
know,
a good point.
Like,
It's a good
but
point.
again, a lot of these, almost all of these in my mind need to be more like a little more mature, right? I think even Fable, I think could end up being a little more on the mature side, right?
Yeah,
versus like being like super like in my mind, and I know
That's
it wasn't very well received during the Xbox Factor podcast, but I find Witcher a little bit corny, right? And I would love to see something like Fable just be a little, but there is a corny aspect to
really
it, so
does have an open door. Like there is there a real wrong way to do it? I mean, you add monsters, you add dragons, you add powers like sorcery. I don't really think you can go wrong, to be honest with you. And Fable remember, this is a reboot. No one really, I mean, we know who Fable is. We know that there was a trilogy, but there are a lot of gamers that don't, Josh.
Right. Yeah. So it has the potential. I mean, it could literally be anything at this point. I mean, I think they're going to stay true to the formula somewhat, but
right.
But when it would come to a show, there's so much they could do. But I mean, if you harken back to the days of like 24, right? And if Perfect Dark was kind of like that, where just real intense spy thriller, also mix in the alien aspect of that show, like there could be some really good sci-fi mixed with spies and all that stuff with a Perfect Dark. So that would be high. Plus, I'm a huge fan of Joanna Dark, and
I think her character has so much potential, dude. Listen, folks, I'm gonna take this in a little bit of a different direction. First of all, I love seeing women empowerment. I think that it is something that has exploded on the scene in the recent years. For me personally, of having a wife that's a Latina, seeing how sometimes people are overlooked because of gender, because of race, seeing that sometimes the talent is not there. I love seeing what's happening in this world. I love the fact that women matter. They're more than just eye candy. And I think someone like Joanna Dark is such a unique character. And there's such an opportunity here to bring a Jason Bourne-esque type of male-dominated character. You're James Bond, you're Jason Bourne, you're Mission Impossible, and give that lead to a female character like Joanna Dark, who in essence has not been relevant in 2 decades, folks.
Right. And I think that would be perfect too.
Huge, brother. I love what you're putting down, Josh.
That would be perfect. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, there's just opportunity there, really, and to market the game, and to imagine there's going to be people that don't even know what Perfect Dark is, right? Yeah. But if they did the show well enough, and it was talked about like a Game of Thrones or a Walking Dead when it was relevant, like there's a ton of potential for it. So besides Perfect Dark, I'm gonna go move away from Xbox just a little bit. But if there was a R-rated or like adult, I can't say the word adult, but mature rated Metroid.
Yeah. With yeah. As a matter of fact, someone actually just said that in the chat. They said, let me see if I could find it. Man,
you could play a fine line with Metroid too, because depending on how you went for it, if you made it live action, that would be really dope. I would love to see a mature live action Metroid, but I think what also would be dope if they did an animated one, kind of like how they did Halo Legends. And you could really play a fine line, because you can say, oh, it's just monsters and stuff. It's like Power Rangers, right? It's just it's teen, So I kind of
Yeah,
love it, right?
Glacius EX says Samus is still number one boss.
Yeah, somebody else was bringing up that point that Tomb Raider kind of did the same thing 25 years ago. What we're talking about.
That was a King David Jack actually said Lara Croft did this 25 years
Which
ago.
is, and you're 100% correct.
Indeed.
But the thing is, what makes and why I think the gentlemen are speaking to Joanna Dark, and please correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not someone who has any history with Perfect Dark or in that field of Perfect Dark. So, but for Joanna Dark, I believe she does have more of a futuristic take on what that character could be. So she could be our today's futuristic Tomb Raider, right? Different angle, playing with different things in a different, a little bit different of a way. I know there's some time aspect that's in there, maybe some mental things that are in there. She's a spy. Like there's so many different aspects that you can kind of play on or really kind of mold into something. And all you need is the right character or the right animation team behind you. And I think, yeah, you got something that would really hit. I mean, again, if Cyberpunk has anything to lead us with, I think we're.
And that dude, you see something? What you just put down right there is exactly why I think this is going to explode. Because look at what Edge Runners did for Cyberpunk the game. Yeah. Look what I mean, again, CD Projekt Red, they had some issues with the game when it came out. A lot of people still love that game. I haven't played through it. I'm like 20 hours into it. I got to get back to it. I quite enjoyed it even before all of the patches came out. I had no problems with it, but when you coincide the 1.6 patch with the anime, you look what they did, folks. Sales went freaking crazy. It was in the top 10 of MPDs all over again because of an anime. You put a badass animated film or a film in general. I mean, perfect example. Once again, you thought The Witcher was corny, and I'm not my wife and I pretty much we enjoyed it, but I see your point in some things. But look what happened, Josh. The Witcher 3 became top 10 for months after that. So you're definitely onto something.
Yeah, the marketing potential is there, right? And if they get the right casting, the right director, everything just hits. I mean,
I feel like it's this my fault, Josh, but it's just like this is at the top of my mind. I feel like this is like the same effect that books used to have, right? But it's not books anymore. It's just digital media being in the face of it, turning into the gaming industry than the other way around. It seems like I might be off base in that, but sorry, I didn't get that one off.
Well, I mean, it's the Star Wars effect, right? It started with movies, but then eventually turned into comics and the games.
That's a good point.
And everything. Star Wars Monopoly. I mean, it goes on, and these companies are realizing. And I mean, into some case, they've always kind of known it, but like whether the technology wasn't there. I mean, look what the first Super Mario Brothers movie. I mean, that thing is rough, right? Like
a lot of people love it though.
It's one of those. But I mean, even listening to the behind the scenes on that film, and people were drinking on the set, and people get hit by cars, and like it's wild. If you guys want to find out a little bit of that history, go and check that out. It's bonkers, and like, but I remember seeing like Yoshi for this first time. We had just got done with like Jurassic Park, and you're like, clever girl, like what is going on with Yoshi? It was wild. So if it can be done right, I think there's just so much potential to grow these brands and to bring in new fans to the series. And Boom, you're absolutely right. We've been seeing it time after time with The Witcher and Cyberpunk, and those games those shows are hitting, and then they're getting people back in those games, which is great. I mean, I don't know if you guys remember, but like I think you brought up Halo Legends, which then makes me think of the Animatrix, right? But I mean,
that was good stuff.
Remember the Matrix game was a prequel to the movie.
Yeah.
That was prequels to those.
And
you know
how well that game sold, Josh.
They didn't do that great back then, I don't think.
No, I think it sold like gangbusters, bro. I played that game. I enjoyed it.
Mess out of the games.
And normally, movie games suck, right?
Right.
Do, but
Yeah, I mean but it was just one of those things. Like if you wanted all the backstory to the Matrix, you had to play those games
Mhm.
Yep.
to get the full, and that was kind of cool back then. That was something different, and it was almost
Another
like them
element.
trying to plug us in, right?
Right. Yep.
To really put us into the Matrix. So yeah, and what was it? Enter the Matrix and then the Path of Neo, those were the two
Yep.
those were the two games, right? And so there's there's so much that can be done, and especially with modern technology, it's just a matter of it being handled correctly, right?
Yep.
I wish we were all speaking as fondly of the Halo series as we do like the beginning of Game of Thrones, or the early days of The Walking Dead. Like I know, we don't know how Walking Dead's going to finish, but it's been a lot of the same just over and over again. And Game of Thrones did not finish well. But the newest series was pretty good, and
House of Dragon,
so there's and again, it's all just opinion at the end of the day. But
right.
but I it's the you can watch the hype cycle, right?
Mhm.
And there was more talk of like what Halo did wrong than what it did right, and I would love to
Yeah.
see that narrative change to where like, Chief is really just kicking some Covenant ass, and we get to introduce to some characters that we know and love, and like let's take this in the direction more of the direction of the games, because
Yep.
it is about introducing new people to the series and paying service to the fans that have been there all along.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. For me personally, and I'm going to take it back once again. Well, that's just who I am. There are two shows that I would love to see brought into. One is, I think, a no-brainer, simply because of the success of Game of Thrones.
Mhm.
I'd love to see Elder Scrolls
That
become a series. You take everything that they can do with you take something like an HBO who knows how to make these that genre of TV and film just look epic, look real. Every around every turn there's something serious. I think that the Elder Scrolls has such a wide palette of stories to be told, and obviously, we know that the Elder Scrolls 6 is the next big project after Starfield. So if they start working on that, and you can somehow get the TV series or film to hit right around before or right after the game, you use that transmedia road to your advantage. The other one for me, and if you know me, folks, you know that I love platformers. I think that the Mario film, even with Chris Pratt as the voice, is going to make just buckets of money. It is going to make so much money. It might be the highest grossing film of the year. Honestly, I know that's people like it can't be. It's going to be because of the kid factors. I would love for first of all, I'm going to bang a drum again, folks, and I don't care. I am not going to get off of this top of the mountain until A, someone pushes me off, or B, I get what I want. I would love an animated Banjo-Kazooie. That's what I think that world has so much story to tell. And again, I don't know if they're ever going to come out with it. I don't know who's going to do it. Rare. We've heard from different sources. Rare doesn't like going back and doing older IP, and you can't really get mad at them. They want to move forward. They want to tell new stories. That's fine. But the fact that we're still sitting on no Banjo-Kazooie, it breaks my heart. So hopefully one day we will in fact get that. Like I said, it's an IP that cannot be denied, especially when you see Mario and Sonic doing so well. He's as important as those characters, folks. So those are my two picks. Before we get on to the second topic, I do want to catch up on some of the super chats, and there's been quite a few of them. The first two of the day come the way of our very good friend, Drawn TJ, who was on last night's Primetime Gaming and dropped some really good opinions. He says this after dropping a $5 super chat. Hi, guys. They need to make a Stave to K show. Oh, my God. That is awesome. I like that idea, and a Fable. And he also says Doom. Wow, a Doom film would be bonkers, and not the Rock Doom film. I'm actually.
I thought that was a decent movie.
It's okay. It's not the worst film.
I thought it was fun.
It's not the worst film, especially at the end when they do the first person mode. I thought that was kind of dope. I'm not gonna. Drawn TJ drops an additional $5 super chat and says, "Hey guys, they need to make." Oh, he actually. Oh, okay, so that was in there twice. All right, so thank you so much for that, Drawn TJ. JC Collar Moreau, what's up, brother? Welcome back. He drops a $2 super chat, and this is brilliant. This is a brilliant one. Conquer, done by the Rick and Morty creators. OMG, that is brilliant, dude. Absolutely brilliant. They would kill a Conquer series, no freaking doubt. Let's see. Drawn TJ drops an additional $2 super chat and says a Splinter Cell and Perfect Dark crossover movie. Hell, I'd like to get an actual Splinter Cell game. I don't know when that's ever going to happen. That's another conundrum, which I cannot believe. Brett Bingham, who's been a member for 1 month, drops a $2 super chat and says Alexandria Daddario as Joanna Dark. Now, I don't know who that is. If that's a good pick or not, please let me know in the chat. I will look up that name. And he also drops an additional $5 super chat and says, give Nathan Fillion his Halo ODST series about Buck's military career. I like that. And that dude's gotten in shape, so I think he could do it. He if you remember, he did the Nathan Drake little like short that he did, but since then that dude has gotten buff. That guy's in monster shape. Yeah, I would love to see an ODST film with Buck. Oh my God, that is brilliant.
And that's perfect. That's so perfect because I mean, and there may be a lot of people who don't know this, but Buck essentially becomes a Spartan down the road. Yep, he's part of Team Osiris and Oni, which is basically like the Spec Ops or even more undercover than that of Halo. And they have a whole nother effed up story and a whole nother conundrum of things that they've gone through. And I mean, again, you could just leave that in the lock. That could be Halo's third person side of the like
I like it.
So many opportunities.
Oh my God, I love what you. I listen. This is why we get the chat involved because they drop these nuggets that you want to keep talking about this topic. But folks, obviously, we got to keep going.
Let's go.
Now I do have a story in front of me, and we talked a little bit about Starfield, we talked a little bit about Skyrim and Elder Scrolls. I pulled a story that I thought was really it was interesting because I'm starting to see more and more rhetoric of Starfield just being another clone to Skyrim. And personally, I don't see that. I mean, I don't know if there may be a lot of hate behind that because Skyrim is world renowned. A lot of people played it. They quite enjoyed it. And now Starfield is going to be locked behind the Xbox and PC. And you know what? Buy an Xbox or use your $5,000 PC that everyone says that they have that owns a PlayStation. Yeah. What can I tell you? Sony does it all the time, and what do Xbox fans do? Like myself, we have a PlayStation 5. We just buy the games, and that's up. It is what it is. But this story that I pulled, it comes the way of GamesRadar.com, and it was written by Jordan Gerblick. And this came up 3 days ago, and I held it because, quite frankly, there's been a lot of news. Like the news it's like a broken faucet, which I'm very happy for because when you do 5 shows, you always got to have something new to talk about if you want to retain the people listening and they don't get bored of your stuff. So this story, I didn't hear anyone talk about. I thought it was worthy of a conversation. And the title of the story, Xbox Boss says Starfield isn't a Skyrim reskin. And they goes on to saying that the boss they're talking about is Matt Booty. He says there's an awful lot of things that move forward with this game. I'm going to read a couple of the excerpts from Matt Booty, which are pretty interesting. But according to the story, which again I'm going to read verbatim, they say Starfield isn't just a space-themed reskin of 2011's Elder Scrolls V. Skyrim. Xbox studio head Matt Booty explained in a recent interview. And he goes on to say, folks, and this is a direct quote from Matt Booty himself, having had the chance over the last year and a half or so to spend more time with Todd Howard and see how he works and see what he brings to the game design, I'm confident that he's going to sit still on whatever was built before.
Right.
It is not his approach to come in and reskin something. There's going to be an awful lot of things that move forward with this game. I think there's a lot to be an awful lot of new stuff in what Bethesda for Bethesda fans and Todd Howard fans. He's doing things that fans have not seen before, and they're bringing new things to this game. He goes on to say, "I know just from checking in with them, the team is hard at work to get that thing all buttoned up and put together. I'm fortunate enough to be involved in the status reports and things, and it's just fun watching them iterate through that level of polish on the game right now." Let me go to N64 Josh first on this. Josh, I mean, listen, I have been recently seeing, and it's quite disappointing, where you start to see where it's the spoiled bratness of the community come out. You know what I'm saying? They have their hands crossed and they're standing on their square, and they're not going to budge because they're not getting the chocolate ice cream that they want. And if you're out there and you are pushing this ideology that this new IP, first of all, you have to understand. I really want to just take a moment to let you understand the ramifications of this game. It is the first new IP in over 20 years for Bethesda. It is a big freaking deal. And more so, this is a game that Todd Howard has wanted to tell for multiple decades, folks. You know, this isn't just a cash grab for Bethesda or for him. This is when you say the word passion project, this is his passion project. This is something that he has wanted to do since he started making games. And maybe a lot of people don't know that. So to suggest that he's going to take the low road here and deliver just a reskin is not only embarrassing. Like, if you're saying that, you should be embarrassed, even more so ashamed, because I don't think that's the case at all. We know that this game is so big that they have to have procedurally generated planets. Well, you know what that does? That means that every time we're all around the water cooler, I'm going to tell you about a planet that you may never, ever come across.
Potentially, yeah.
And I may find a weapon on said planet that you will never have. You'll see me with it. I'll show you, video of it, and you're like, holy shit, I can't believe. Where did you find that? Oh, on planet so-and-so. I've been playing for 48 hours, and I haven't come across that. Oh, yeah, but it was over here. That's what this game is going to bring. That kind of conversation is what's going to come with this game. Right. I want to get Josh's opinion on this. Josh, when you hear people starting to utter the words reskin, how does that make you feel?
I mean, this... It's we kind of expected this conversation, right? Like, once it went exclusive, this is, of course, is going to be the narrative. But I mean, we've kind of said all along. I mean, how many times have we uttered the word Skyrim in space? I wouldn't even care if it was a reskin of Skyrim in space, because it's going to be amazing. Like, Skyrim is not like that would be a great game to throw into space, but it's going to be so much more. You can tell it's going to be so much more. Those kind of conversations of, I found this weapon here and I don't even know how to get there, or, I went this way. Maybe it's going to deliver on the promises of No Man's Sky, right? Like more along that route. And that's going to be great. The being Todd's passion project, there's like, I'm not worried at all, and the internet's going to be the internet. Let them run their mouths and do whatever they got to do. Like, but at the end of the day, and I mean, I guess I could be completely wrong, but I think at the end of the day, we're all going to be talking about how amazing this game is, not being able to put it down. And it's going to move consoles. It's going to move consoles, and it's going to get the talk. The hype is going to be there, and it is brand new IP from from Bethesda. Don't get me wrong, Bethesda's not perfect. I mean, look at Fallout's had its issues, right? But I mean, and I haven't spent much time with Fallout, but I mean, the little bit that I've seen or watched some friends play and things like that, like, yeah, there's aspects of a Bethesda game in there, but it's also a completely different world, completely different characters, and now we're talking about space. Like,
yes,
I love that it just kind of rounds out the post-apocalyptic to the fantasy world to now space. Like,
yes,
and
yes.
With the Bethesda touch, I'm here for it.
I love it. I love what you're putting down, and I think you're really. I think that's something to really be to hark on. You got to understand, Bethesda games, they are a lot of one color, right? And I mean that. But let me iterate on what I mean by that. Post-apocalyptic Fallout series, very very brown, very dark, right? A lot of greenery, right? Because you're walking around. The world has ended. There's overgrowth and everything. So you see a lot of green, a lot of old, broken down, burnt out, rusted out stuff. Very, very brown and green. You move over to Skyrim, very, very similar color palette, right? Very, very, very brown. Very, very green because of the open world. You're walking on lands that haven't been touched by you when you're riding a horse across everything. Very gray, because of a lot of the castles that are made gray and tan. It's a very, very similar color palette. But when you look at what they're doing with Starfield, oh, wow. I mean, the color palette seems to be everything.
Mm-hmm.
But before I give you the microphone and get your opinion on this, Steel Rain, I'm going to read another excerpt, which I found extremely interesting. And again, folks, this is a story that I pulled from GamesRadar.com. It was written by Jordan Gerblick, and this was posted 3 days ago because, of course, I love giving credit where credit is due. And this is what he said in the second paragraph. A lot of folks, including Game Rant's own Josh West, had worried that Bethesda's first new IP in over 25 years would look and play a lot like Skyrim, but in space. However, during a recent episode of Friends Per Second vlogcast via GameSpot, Matt Booty argued that it would be unlike anything Bethesda's Todd Howard has done before. And he says Todd Howard would not simply just rest on the studio's laurels and pump out a reskin of an earlier title. He also said that the team at Bethesda has been keeping him abreast of the game's development, and that from what he's seen, he thinks Starfield will push the envelope in a variety of ways. What are your thoughts on that, Steele?
For me, more, and I definitely want to touch on more so the potential of what Starfield can bring to the genre, and more so what the gamers have been really asking for, right? Because it's easy to write off the game as just a Fallout or just a Skyrim clone. You could say that about a lot of other games that are similar. You could say Elder Scrolls is the same. You could say other games can have a similar ilk. You could say Mass Effect could be something similar. Also, all games that allow you choice and give you multiple options of how to go through a story, and where no one player's experience is going to be exactly like another player's experience. Why is that a negative thing that should affect the game? Why is that a negative connotation that you want to put on, like that people want to put on Starfield? And when you hear the hype that Todd Howard has about on this game, and mind you, I do a podcast with my brother from another, the fan of Mr. God Howard himself, Mr.
Yes.
Pong Howard, as I like to call him.
His long lost son.
Yeah, exactly. This is long lost son. I'm telling you, has to be. But I do a podcast with this man, and as someone who is not necessarily a Bethesda fan, I've not gotten into Bethesda games like that. The most recent one that I have that did grab me was Elder Scrolls Online, and it probably was because of the multiplayer aspect. Not to say that was the only thing, because I love the story. I love the fact that I was able to touch everything. I love the fact that the choices I made impacted the story, right? So that uniqueness. And then now you're telling me that Todd Howard is taking all of these elements that he's taken over the last 20 years of him making games and is now making a game that he thought was not possible. Well, he knew was not possible back in the day, and has come to realize now that it is highly possible and is on the crevice of actually releasing his dream. Right. So it is hard for me to imagine that this is just going to be some cookie cutter Skyrim game, although I feel like it's disingenuous to say that the game is cookie cutter, because it's not. To say something is cookie cutter means it's exactly like everything else. This isn't the case with these style of games. And to me, when people speak on it like that, it just shows me that maybe there's an audience that doesn't appreciate those types of games. Maybe you don't like that genre and you don't have anything positive to say about it. Or maybe you don't have a different angle that you can take to really talk about it in an intellectual manner, excuse me. Or maybe it's just not for you. And that could be all the well possible, but it's hard not to be hyped for this game, right? Especially with Xbox being on a lack of first-party games. Starfield is probably the hypest Xbox game that is coming to release within the next couple years, I would say at least. I would say behind Hellblade, behind a Fable. So it's kind of, we want to see what this is going to do to redefine things. And again, we've heard things like a Han Solo simulator. And again, just being able to take the culmination of all of Todd Howard's work and know that I'm going to have an ever-expanding universe, including what the modders are going to bring into it, because that's another side that people forget about. What the modders are also going to bring into the community to also expand that opportunity, or expand the universe, because again, it's a single player game. There's nothing that you have to necessarily think about to make sure it's balanced for co-op or anything like that. Not saying that they won't implement that or something like that, but that's kind of my thoughts right now on Starfield. I don't get the reason why people are continuously trying to downplay it, although Todd Howard he has on record, guys, do the research. This man puts out defining games. That's what he does. When he puts his hands on a game, 100%, it redefines the genre every time.
Why do you think he's producing Indiana Jones?
Yeah, exactly.
Why do you think he is the producer of that game? Because first of all, you ever see him in an interview? He is a stan. I'm talking about giddy as a schoolboy fan of Indiana Jones, and that's why that game is also going to be. I have a strong suspicion it's going to be as good looking as anything from Uncharted, of the Uncharted games, and that's a high bar to hit. That's a high bar to hit.
That is a very high bar.
Because listen, whether you're a Sony fan or not, you cannot argue that. God damn, those Uncharted games are great, man. They're just so much fun.
A lot of those games are great and everything, but I think the other thing that we have to keep in mind is this is also a different style of game. The vastness of this game is going to also lead into the design of the game. Yep, so 100%. As much as we would want the game to look like an Uncharted, a God of War, you want it to be beautiful like the type of games that Sony puts out. We also have to be honest with ourselves and say that those games are also closed experiences. There is no vastness to them. There's a start. There's a middle.
Well, actually, I was really talking about Indiana Jones, not so much.
Okay. Gotcha. My fault. Yeah, it definitely Indiana Jones. That's what I would definitely expect out of that. My fault on that, for sure. And especially with using UE5, I want them to be able to get with the coalition and really get all the cooks in the kitchen to put out the best production possible. For sure.
Yes, I like it. Listen, this is a good, a quick topic, but a good topic nonetheless. I think that there's a lot of that we don't know currently about about Starfield. I like the idea that we're going to be able to customize our own ship. The customization in this game is going to be bonkers good. Like, I cannot wait to see. And obviously, the mod community, especially on PC, people are going to be running around in Slave One or the Falcon or something. I can't wait. I can't wait to see the first Enterprise.
Bro, wait till you're able to download your first lightsaber.
Oh my my God, I cannot wait to see it. And that's the thing that's good about the mods, the mod community. They're so talented. It's sick. I can't wait to see what they do.
Yeah.
But I do, folks, want to move on to the next topic of the show. This is the one I think is going to have a lot of legs. And what I want to talk about is gaming media versus gamers when it comes to the review process. That is something that has been a hot topic for quite some time. But it seems in recent weeks, even I would say a month, maybe a little bit more than that, it has really hit pay dirt. There is, look, there are going to be people right here in this chat right now that don't think God of War is a 10. Now, I have yet to play it, but I have seen much video of it. I would probably disagree with you. I absolutely am enthralled with God of War 2018. I absolutely loved it, so much so, and I don't usually do this, but I started playing the game through again on New Game Plus. That's how much I thought it was incredible. So I would imagine that even, I know the big debate here is, well, boom, it's DLC. Look, here's the thing, folks. Whether it's officially called DLC, whether it's officially called a sequel, it does not really matter to me, because you just look at, for instance, The Witcher 3. I told you I can't get into that game, but what I can do is tip my cap to it for what it is, and for what it's done for gaming. It's a modern day masterpiece. Well, Blood and Wine is a DLC, but most people will tell you that Blood and Wine was so good that it was better than The Witcher 3. So if that could work for that series, I think it could easily be equated and work for God of War. And from what I've heard, I mean, I don't know who I was with the other day. They said they played 23 minutes of it, and they literally had a tear in their eye in the first 23 minutes. So there's something to be said about this game. It's special. Now, if you give it a 10, I'm not going to argue. If you give it an 8, I'm not going to argue. It's your choice. But that's not actually what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the gaming media. And gaming media, folks, listen, I'm going to say this right now, and I'm not going to go down a rabbit hole and start picking out particular sites. I'm not doing that. I'm not looking to go to war with anybody. Let them do their own thing. I'm going to do my own thing. But the media has kind of stepped in it, so to speak, in recent weeks, months, and years with some of the ways that they do reviews. Now, granted, one person is doing one review on one game. And a lot of the times what we're starting to notice is the person that is tasked to do this doesn't like said genre and winds up giving a bad review to a good game because they don't like that game. And see, that's the big mistake right there. You're supposed to find someone that likes that so they can be honest with their readers.
Right.
You understand? A lot of the times, and this is where we get into some muddy water here, folks. And again, I'm not accusing. I'm only simply saying what has been posted by many, many people and even written about by some sites, that certain publishers money hacked and also have, blackball sites from not getting review codes because a particular review wasn't favorable.
Right.
And I hate to say this, and I don't want to make this into a console war thing, but we've heard Sony do this more often than not. You've never heard this come from Microsoft. I've never heard this from Nintendo, to be honest with you. You keep hearing it about Sony. So if enough people talk about it, is it true? Well, I guess that's speculative. But I'm going to go back to Steel Rain on this. The two games that jump off the page for me, because obviously we're talking about the now, is Sonic Frontiers and Gotham Knights. Now, some people, maybe they're not your ilk. I get it. Maybe they're not your genre. Maybe you don't like those characters. I'm not going to argue with you. But these two games, according to the review scores, are trash. And I'm here to tell you that both these games are going to be in my top 10 of 2022. Both of these games. Are they going to hit top 5? Maybe. Maybe they hit my top 5. But I'm telling you that these are great. So what are your thoughts on this? Like, where are your hot takes in gaming media versus the gamers?
All right. Now, I think this has been a thing that has always led me to wanting to get into the industry at some point, somehow, some way. Mainly because I do feel like there is a lot of divisiveness or people speaking on things, not necessarily from a subjective point of view, but maybe are just inept at doing that, or maybe they're just tired of being in the industry and certain game styles they may just not like. In the two examples that you bring up there, I'll start with Gotham Knights. Now, Gotham Knights, unfortunately, on Metascore and also for the user side of things, has both been really bogged down, right? And there was a lot of expectation that went behind Gotham Knights 2. People thought it was going to be one thing, and it didn't end up being that. And I think that left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. But I think the other side of that coin, too, is that there's not necessarily one way or the other that you can really sway, right? There is a huge problem with people reviewing games that they either don't like or, like I mentioned, don't have any interest in. But there's also another thing to where people will just give zeros on a game, even just as a gamer, just because, right? So just a troll, for an example, they'll do that. And I think that could be, or from what I've seen, is something that I've seen out of Gotham Knights, using that as the main example. Now, with Sonic Frontiers, well, just stick on Gotham Knights really quickly. Again, Gotham Knights is going to be one of those games where if you were interested in it, like I say all the time, you as a gamer, especially with the average gamer being right around 30 years old, and that's going to be a lot younger as we move throughout the generation and everything, or it might average out, we'll see. But if that's the case, I would imagine that you as a gamer have been playing games long enough, or maybe you haven't. I would at least assume it as an adult that you would have an understanding of what you like and what you don't like, and that you would have an understanding of how to find people or reviewers that cater to the things that you look for. If you cannot find those things or have not found those things, then there is more research to be done before you open your mouth or to give an overall opinion on a certain game or certain topic. If you don't know, you're just buying a game and it ends up being bad, at the end of the day, it's still on you because you have so many options to invest in games, to listen to reviews and everything else. And at the end of the day, you have to be able to make the educated decision. Now, again, if you're interested in it, I would 100% say try it out. I love the game personally. It's not an Arkham game. Don't get in here expecting to press X and then randomly, press Y to easily parry somebody. There's so many more combat mechanics in there in place. And I do think the longevity of the game is going to do really well because of that. Now, let's go into Sonic Frontiers. Sonic Frontiers, and I mentioned this behind the scenes before we went live, Sonic, unfortunately, has had a very negative connotation since he stepped into the scene. It's been very divisive. Ever since he was put up against Mario, I feel like there's always been an unfair stigma against Sonic. I don't know why, but I will say for me, as someone who grew up literally with Sonic came out in 91, I believe, the first Sonic, and I believe this animated series came out before that. I was born in 92. I literally grew up with Sonic. And so Mario was a little bit ahead of that, but this blue hedgehog to me as a kid was more enticing than this old man wearing a jumpsuit. That wasn't appealing to me. Jumping on Koopas and Bowser. Bowser was the coolest part of Mario to me. But I also liked dinosaurs at the time. So they kind of go hand in hand. Sonic, and I know you grew with me, Boom. Sonic has had games that have been great since the 2D generation. Sonic Adventure, the Sonic Adventure games, Sonic Heroes. Some people are on and off about Generations, and there's another one that they throw in there too. I do think Frontiers is the best Sonic game that has been released since Sonic Adventure 2. And I also do think it is suffering from that harsh critique that for whatever reason, Sonic always gets. It's no matter what, the game isn't, I don't know, not mature enough. It can't tell a good enough story. Oh, the characters don't do enough for me. Oh, now the voice needs to be perfect. Oh, everybody's main complaint was, oh, the momentum needs to be, no game has got the momentum. Well, maybe you've never played a Sonic game because I don't know where that's coming from. I can agree with some, but they've nailed it in this one. And the reviewers, from what I've seen personally at least, have taken a standpoint to where it's that stink of Sonic that has continued to go on that I think in 2022, because of the movies, because it's not just one movie, 2 movies now have proven themselves, have done well, and now this game is coming off the hype of that, and it's actually telling a well thought out story, and overall, it gets back to games just being fun. It doesn't always
hashtag fun. Hello, thank you.
It doesn't always have to be a God of War Ragnarok, ladies and gentlemen. Like I know Boom and myself maybe jumping off the ledge saying, "Oh, it's gonna sell 2 to 1." Again, it should. It's on everything. It should. I don't think that's a crazy thing to say. It literally should. But it's not God of War Ragnarok. It's not a cinematic experience. It's Sonic the Hedgehog in a 3D world and on different cyberspaces that they give you. And overall, it's a fun game to play. And if you are a Sonic fan, I would suggest you to try it out. And if you've ever been iffy about Sonic, I would definitely say at least give it a fair shake if it ever gets on a deal.
Yes.
That's me.
I have, like, again, the quote unquote, gentleman's agreement or bet, if you will, that we have with Kayasanta and I is that he believes it's going to sell well. He just doesn't think it's going to sell as well as 2 to 1. Like I said, I even said it when we were having the conversation. I'm like, are you sure you want to take this bet? Because it is 7 platforms versus 2. You know what I'm saying? So just on pure number, just number spectrums alone, and in my opinion, I think it actually sells even better or best on Switch. I think the Switch version is going to sell like gangbusters, bro. Because look at what the Switch just passed 114 million consoles sold. I don't know if you saw the numbers that Benji Sales put out there the other day. I mean, like, whoa, you know what I'm saying? Like, are you kidding me? This thing plays in 560p.
It looks rough for sure.
You know what I'm saying? But sometimes it just doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's all about the games, and they do make good games, and I think Sonic is going to do very well on that console. I honestly think that you're going to see sales numbers. I think God of War is going to sell very good, but I've always said this, and I will continue to hang my hat on this. The problem with the sales isn't the game quality. The game quality is what it is. It's fantastic. It looks beautiful. It's a cinematic experience. The problem with first-party games for Sony is its own fan base. They just don't buy their games. That is not an opinion, folks. That is a fact. Ask anyone. Go look at the numbers. When you have I'll put it this way. When you have 115 million PS4s and near 20, let's just say 20 million, right? PlayStation 5s out in the wild. Let's say it's 20 million now. And it might be more, might be less.
Right.
Let's say 20 million for shits and giggles. I'm no mathematician, folks, but that's 135 million consoles, right? Right now, today. If you're going to tell me that you can only move 10% of your audience to buy God of War, you have a real retention problem going on within first party, because their first party games are great and they're high quality and they're millions and millions of dollars. So if you're telling me 10% is good, I'm here to tell you that if I'm on the board, I'm looking at you and laughing, because I want 40. I want a 40%. I want a 50% ratio. I want what Nintendo has. Nintendo puts out a game, Splatoon, #1 selling a Switch game this year. It's going to be up there with the Animal Crossing. It's #1 in Japan. Check this out. In Japan right now, 1 out of every 5 Switch consoles owns Splatoon 3. Think about that for a second, folks. That's preposterous kind of numbers. And that's what they're doing over there with Nintendo. And again, they don't have Call of Duty, and Splatoon is a shooter that's first party. Just throwing a little shade for Sony, but I want to bring N64, Josh, into this. You obviously are in games media. You do a lot of things. You have podcasts. You're on TikTok. You do a lot of stuff on the website. I'm interested to get your take on this. Game journalism reviewers versus gamers. It's a hot button topic, and it has made it has made the rounds in recent days.
It seems as of recent that a lot more reviews have been to me anyway, it seems like they've been more on the negative or lower side than on the positive, right? You've had Call of Duty, every person I've talked to that has played Call of Duty, the campaign, has loved it. Like,
yeah, I'm halfway through, and I think it's the best campaign I've played in years.
Yeah, we're good.
And so that was the first one that was kind of like, what is happening in games media right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we got Sonic, and we've got the Gotham stuff, and this, to me, it goes all the way back. Like, I kind of slowly stopped putting any faith in reviews at the Mario Kart Double Dash, right?
Yep.
Fran Marabella, a friend of mine, and we had a great interaction because of it. We were at the Destiny 2 reveal, and I was like, it was the first time I met. I was like, Fran? He's like, yeah, what's going on? I was like, you talk about your Double Dash review? And he's like, you're not going to shank me, are you? Like, that was the first thing he said to me, right? But I mean, what happened with me and Double Dash is two things. One, I'm a huge Mario Kart fan. I mean, I've got the game tattooed on my body.
Yep.
I love it. It's the game's changed my life, honestly. Like, it's blown me up on TikTok, and like I love it. But when Double Dash came out and they mixed things up and you weren't in a regular cart anymore, it was tough for me. I was like, why are you messing with this formula? Right? And then seeing his review of 7.9, I hardly touched that game. I go back to that game now and I'm like, it is a lot of fun. Yeah, I don't have I don't have the cart that I want, right? But it doesn't change the fact that game is still probably a 9 out of 10, honestly. And some of the things that you can do and some of the ways they innovated in that game, looking back, it's probably not a 7.9. I don't even know if he would still give it a 7.9. You know, I have no clue. I think when it comes as a person who puts out podcasts, like you said, who has a website, who's done a number of reviews, it's difficult because when you're reviewing something like an indie game, it could be the difference between massive amounts of sales and no sales. Yep. Yeah. And it's hard for me to look at somebody's art and just either like dump all over it.
Yeah.
You know, their hard work, their blood, sweat, and tears, just because it didn't resonate with me. It's always been a struggle for me to review stuff because I'm like, I don't really want to, I kind of want to point out the things I like. I want to point out if the game pulls me in a very, you know, short and sweet manner to where I want to keep playing. But and then hopefully people that have similar gaming interests to me can be like, yeah, this is a review I can trust. But when it's for me, it's not just something that I take lightly at all, right? And when it comes to these major news outlets and stuff, even IGN at this point, they should almost have 3 different people review this game, review these games, and then come up with like, you know, maybe even like what are their top games? What is it that resonates with them, so that you know which review you want to be going after? Because if their top games are like Animal Crossing, Sims, and you know, more casual, and they're giving Call of Duty a 6 out of 10, it was probably a chore for them to play that game.
Could be, yeah,
right.
It's my biggest
but
point.
But if it's, you know, if the other reviewer is like, yo, I'm here for Fortnite and I've played every Call of Duty and I've been a fan of the series since its inception, you know, like, well, that's probably the person that the fans of that series are going to go and read the review and resonate with. And so it's the other thing I absolutely hate about it is the fact that bonuses are tied to Metacritic scores, right? Like, that gives so much power. Like, you could have reviewers that are just, that maybe they don't like somebody that works at one of those studios, and that's the reason that the game scored low.
Right. You know something? What you're putting down is conspiratory for sure, but I hate to say this, you might be onto something here, dude. You just might, because listen, folks, vindictiveness is a thing. It exists everywhere. whether it be whether you're a postman, whether you're a fireman, whether you're a games review journalist, whether you're a developer. Some people just don't like to see other people win. And if someone has the power to hurt someone, maybe even financially, it's something that could happen. And I'm not saying it is happening, but it very well could be.
The other side of it too is look at all the Activision Blizzard drama and garbage that's come out of the way people have been treated. You know, it's in a tough place it may be tough for some people to look at it objectively when they may have friends that have been, you know, harassed or hurt due to other people's actions within leadership at these studios. It's crazy how we are all so connected now, and how these reviews can affect the sales and what is affecting their thought process going into these reviews, right? And no part of me is justifying anything that has taken place within the Call of Duty community, within those studios, or the Overwatch studio, things like that. Like, that kind of garbage has to go. But how do we separate that from these reviews? Do we? It's just such a strange time that we live in, and when it comes down, like, the end of the day, you pretty much just gotta risk it. And I think Steam, we were talking about it on last night's show, like with all these indies that are coming out during the busiest time of year. How do they not get forgotten? Well, something like Steam, where you can try it for 2 hours, or something like Game Pass, really helps allow us to play more of these games without having to rely on the reviewers. Right. And so there are more benefits right there in Steam. I think you can play a game for 2 hours and then decide if you don't want it, you can return it. And so that if you want to be the most informed consumer, your best bet is probably to pick it up through Steam, try it, see if it's for you, and then walk away from it if it isn't.
Exactly.
No, I absolutely agree. And listen, great points all around. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for us here on XVlog Live for this Thursday. 3 topics. Usually it's one guest. Today we were very blessed to have not one, but 2 incredible opinions and people of this community who obviously are a big part of content creation. Let's get to the outros, and we'll get everyone out of here. N64 Josh, please sell your brand, brother. Talk about TikTok Jock. Talk about N64 Josh. What you got going on? And you got your hand in multiple pies for sure. Obviously, you announced the other day that you're doing coaching now, which I think is fantastic for anyone that might feel a little overwhelmed on how to start content creation. You also have the website. You also have your own YouTube channel. You also have the Halo podcast that should be getting a lot of eyes because, quite frankly, the winter update is great from what I understand. I have to get back to it for sure. Talk about it. Sell your brand, brother.
I may or may not have been playing a little bit of Halo between.
I love it, dude. The multitasking level of dedication is very, very commendable.
Years of streaming paying off, right? You guys, hopefully, you couldn't tell I was getting the headshots. I
literally had no idea, so it's good.
No, but yeah, I'm everywhere, guys. This is N64 Josh. I host the Nintendo Powercast. We've recently started Poke News Now, which is a Pokemon podcast.
Hey, nice.
They have Infinite. 2 games coming out soon. Again, big sellers this year.
They do, and they're always there. I mean, again, it gets into like the whole coaching aspect side of it. The reason I decided to do a Pokemon show is because of the keyword research that I did, and knowing how much that game is searched, how often it's searched, and how it really is an unending hype cycle because of all the content they are putting out. I'm going to be in Philadelphia the beginning of December for PAX Unplugged. So if anybody else is going to be there, please hit me up. I would love to see you. When it comes to the coaching stuff, like we just talked about, if you like, whether you're just starting with content creation or if you've been in it for a while and you realize how lonely it is at times, you realize how difficult it is at times, and maybe you don't feel like you have a good plan for getting your content out there and how to the best use social media and TikTok and all the trends and everything that's happening right now, that's what I'm here for. So I got a link in my bio where you can set up a free 15-minute call with me to see if it's something that's for you, if we can I really truly believe one of my gifts to the world is just unlocking people and helping people see their potential and take whatever it is they're doing to the next level. So that's why I have to do this coaching. It's like it's a literally a burning desire within me to do it. So really appreciate being here and super stoked that we got to hang out today and chat about these topics.
Well, thank you very much, brother. Definitely appreciate that. Real quick, Don Otaku drops a very generous $10 super chat and says, in this Twitch era, Sony only gets 10% of sales. I think that's what he meant. 10% of the base because they make games where story is the only selling point. The games that do numbers are ones where the gameplay is priority and you have to play. And that's that. They're not wrong. I mean, you can take nothing away from the story-driven aspect of how great Sony's first-party games are, because quite frankly, they are. But when you look at the sales numbers versus the free-to-play games, it's not even comparable. And when you don't have that kind of engagement, I think the problem is they're just not seeing the numbers. That's why Jim Ryan says that their own players isn't enough, and that's why I think that at some point starting next year, you're going to see day and date release for PC. I don't think it's going to be 6 months after. I think I think they have to do that if they want to survive. Yeah, and Nixus and a few of the other developers that they have working with them as first party is going to help them do that, and they have to. God of War would sell a heck of a lot better if it was on PC. There's just no doubt about it. If they did dual releases, they would make bank, and that's what their investors want. That's what Jim Ryan wants, and hopefully at some point they will get there. Steel Rain, we got to sell your brand, brother. You got a big show coming up this Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, with your brother from another, of course, Pong Soul, or should we call him Pong Howard? Yes, is really what he should be called. Talk about that. Talk about where could people help you cross the 1K mark. You guys are close. Just how close are you, bro?
Man, we're approaching 700, man. We're good. I think we're right around 650. We're definitely on the road to 1K. And to be honest, it's more so just about consistency, just having the time, really. And time is always the bane of our existence. And just being smarter with the time, right? That's the main thing. So we're figuring out those things behind the scenes and trying to get it right. But as Boom mentioned, Pong Howard himself, the long lost son of Todd Howard, if you guys didn't know, aka God Howard, does host or co-host with myself, Living Split Screen, every Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern, and 3 p.m. UK time. Look, ladies and gentlemen, we take that RTS approach. If you don't know, guys, are you really gamers? And if you're not, I'll help out a bit. Real-time strategy. You pull yourself out of the world, look at the darker crevices of the map, you get those resources, pull them together, build up your foundation, your base, so we could potentially reach those 3 billion gamers that Phil Spencer talks about all the time, guys. Look, you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Hopefully you guys are keeping it gaming. Enjoy everything that you have in front of you, because we are in the age. I know my brother from another says this is the golden age of gaming. I say we are in the age of accessibility. Guys, enjoy gaming at any level that you enjoy gaming at, because that's what matters. And beyond all else, keep it live, raw, and uncut. Much love to the X Vlog Kingdom, and overall to Boom and N64, man. There's nothing but love, man. Much love to you, and yeah, man, y'all stay safe.
Appreciate that very much for the love, and of course, thank you guys for being here. Another successful show. Again, when you start new shows, you just never know how it's going to hit. Obviously, the lunch break special on Monday seems to be gaining ground, as well as X Vlog Live, and we will continue those shows as long as the people want to see them. A big shout out to the panel. A big shout out to all the super chats that have come in. We are almost at $1,000 to put away, because we're going to give away $1,000, whether we have to use super chats and our own personal money, or fund it through super chats. We are currently going to be giving away, if you didn't know, $1,000 in one show. 500 up front for channel members, and the next 500 for anyone that's in the chat. That is coming up for our big 5th annual Christmas with Mr. and Mrs. BoomStick later in December. And by the time we're done, folks, we will have given out $3,500 worth of digital gifts in 2022. It is the most we've ever done. We don't do it for subs, folks. We do it for the fact that, people are having a tough time right now, and we want to give back, and we want to move it forward, and we want to pay it forward, and hopefully you are someone that has come across one of these wins. And again, this December, we're giving away $1,000, and that is thanks to all the super chats that have come in, and of course the channel memberships that continue to bless us on the channel. I'm going to close out the show, folks, with something that is important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught me with kids. And he would say, son, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of X Vlog Live.